England, first off, 1-0 against Denmark. We picked up 3 points. We are now top of the table with 6, but it was a less than convincing performance this evening. I mean, again, let's give it credit. Let's stay positive for the start, okay? Let's do maybe a shit sandwich on this one, okay? So, first of all, the nice layer of positive bread. The first 35 minutes or so before Keira Walsh's injury, it looked like the Lionesses that we saw at the Euros. It looked promising. It looked bold. There were patterns. Let's talk about the changes first off, maybe, because when the lineup came out, everyone was like, "Whoa,
oh yeah,
whoa, Serena, this is spicy. You've given us something to write about."
She doesn't like to tinker, and my God, she's tinkered.
The consistency queen has become very inconsistent. But yeah, Rach, what were your thoughts when that lineup came through? What was the things that stood out for you?
Well, I was glad Lauren James started. I had hoped she would start at the 10, but she had started, and that paid off. Rachel Daly, the Golden Boot winner of the WSL this season, started in left back, so that was an interesting one. And Alex Greenwood then partnered with Millie Bright. So I'm trying to decide. I feel like the Rachel Daly one was the biggest surprise, and the one I was most pleased about would have been Lauren James.
I thought that Rachel Daly at left back was very, very rogue, but I mean, I'm not Serena Wiegman, and there's a reason. There's a reason.
How much wine have you had, Chloe?
Too much. But I actually think it was tactical genius that she went into left back, because I think she offered so much more than Carter could. I think Carter still had a good game against Haiti, but I think the attacking presence of Rachel Daly, she kept going further and further up the field, so much so that she was, quite a large part of the attacks. I think she was delivering crosses. She was linking up so well. It almost seemed to inspire Lauren James, because she was cutting in so much more. She looked so much more confident, and I think that's how the goal came. I think it was from the confidence of having Rachel Daly behind her and being able to push forward so much. So it was beautiful to watch. They looked like the squad that I kind of expected to come into this competition supporting. What were your thoughts on the first 35 minutes before Keira Walsh?
I thought they were sharp. I thought they were finding each other really well. They were making really clever runs, like you say, kind of like the team we saw during the Euros, and they were doing those quick passes. I did feel for Jess Carter. Obviously, she played central defence against Haiti and had done a job against Haiti. Had kind of backed up Millie Bright when she had struggled a little bit. But of course, then by bringing Alex Greenwood into that position, it left it open for Rachel Daly, and it made sense. Who was I sat next to? I can't remember who. I think I might have texted Sophie saying, I feel like Rachel Daly is going to score from the left back position as opposed to playing the number 9. Because she was getting up high and she was partnering, as you said, really well with Lauren James. Lauren James looked so comfortable on the ball, and I think when we think about the first match, I thought Alessia Russo and Ella Toone looked nervous that they were starting their first ever major tournament match. Lauren James didn't. And they could not get the ball off her. It was like she had a magnet on her foot. I don't know if it's her low centre of gravity or what it is, but it's so difficult to get that ball off her. And she was dancing through the defence. And the confidence to go for that shot. It was such a peach of a goal. And I think we probably all thought, okay, they've scored from open play now. Finally, floodgates are going to open. Here we go. And then that injury from Keira Walsh, the team genuinely looked shell-shocked, because Keira was shell-shocked when she went down. I think she knew straight away. She said straight away, I've done my knee. She was pushing players away who immediately come over to her. And I have a kind of lasting impression of her being carried off the pitch on the stretcher and Lucy Bronze just standing on the pitch, looking at the stretcher, going off. Like, other players are getting back into position and she's just standing there watching Keira go off. And I think it really seemed to knock, and that's not an excuse, right? Like, because I thought Denmark did come out in the second half and they exploited that, but it did seem to knock their rhythm and knock their confidence.
Massively. I think, the whole press pack, we were upstairs watching it. We sort of, we saw, it looked so reminiscent of the Leah Williamson injury. It was an immediate call over to the bench. She went down, the players were around her, the stretcher came on, and it was just, the whole press pack just completely collapsed. It was just so heartbreaking to see, because I think we don't know what the injury is. So I'm hoping that it's all just scaremongering at the moment and we're all just jumping, because we know that ACLs and MCLs are continuously thrown around. So I'm hoping that by the smallest of chances that it's something a little bit less serious than that. We all are. But it didn't look good, and it didn't look like the kind of injury that she was going to come back from this tournament, perhaps. So yeah, and I think understandably, obviously after that injury, her being stretchered off, the squad performance fell flat. And I can understand, like, in the back of your mind, whilst, despite you obviously wanting to put on the best performance you can possible, there are going to be some, underlying concerns there about what you're going to find when you come back to the dressing room and how Keira's going to be and the impact that Keira was actually having in the game. I think she was marked out of the Haiti game so well, but Denmark were letting her have the ball, which is just the most ridiculous thing that you didn't learn from what Haiti were doing. So she was like a big part of sort of being that pivot player back again, sort of being able to spray the ball out, but also being able to, go more centrally as well with her, because she was an option there. So, I mean, what Laura Coombs obviously came in. I thought she had a fairly decentish game. She came in under difficult circumstances, and we spoke to her a little bit at the mix zone afterwards, and she was saying, like, obviously she's really happy to get the minutes, but it's not the best circumstances to be getting those minutes. And going forwards, do we think Laura Coombs now will be in that starting position? Because I was a little bit, I was surprised actually that it wasn't someone like Jordan Nobbs maybe filling that role,
or Georgia Stanway dropping deeper.
Yep.
The problem is we don't have a Keira Walsh replacement. It's as simple as that. We don't. Ella Toone, you might say, Lauren James, one of the wingers, you could probably put Lauren James there too. Alessia Russo, we've got Beth England, we've got Rachel Daly. We don't have, I mean, you can't replace Keira. She's one of those players that you can't replace, right? But it just doesn't feel like, it's a hard one. I don't know who you put in there. We've got plenty of midfielders, but that particular role that she plays and the way she plays it is very hard to replace. And we saw that at Man City when she left. I think Gareth Taylor spent a few months trying to make players replace Keira Walsh and realising you need to work with what you have and use those players to the best of their abilities rather than trying to make them do something another player does. And England don't have a lot of time to figure that out.
Well, we can't get back to Gareth Taylor bashing again. It's not even the WSL start of the season yet, but I'm sure we will do, because Man City may or may not have the best start to the season again. Third time's a charm, Gareth. I mean, we now go into the China game. I can't say that second half really filled me with a lot of confidence. I'm hoping the squad are going to see that as a blip and they will regroup this week and get behind each other again, because I think bar Walsh being out, the squad were doing really well, finding their feet again. Are you concerned about the China game, or do you think that it's gonna be okay?
I'm not overly concerned. I think the thing about this World Cup and with the extra teams is you have quite a bit of time between matches, and that first 30 minutes or so, the difference from the Haiti game to this game was enormous. So I can only hope that they're going to utilise that time before the China game to implement something and to probably get themselves over the Keira situation. Things like that can galvanise a team. They can, come together and fight for a player, and, maybe that will be the case. It's hard. It's like, it reminds me a bit of watching Arsenal, watching them get every couple of weeks another big player was out, and it's a little bit like that with your Leah Williamsons, your Beth Meads, your Fran Kirbys, and now potentially Keira Walsh for the tournament. It's how much can the team take and keep getting back up again.
Right, we asked listeners on Twitter for your thoughts. Okay, you came back with some pretty tasty questions. So we've got one coming in from Lorenzo. He said, Beth England should start ahead of Alessia Russo against China. Also, we need to stop being the creators of our own downfall and inviting more pressure. We made it harder for ourselves than it should have been. That's a bold claim, Lorenzo. England over Russo. I thought she had a pretty good game. Again, sort of getting into the areas, making herself known. I don't think she was as aggressive as the Haiti game, but I don't think she necessarily needed to, because Lauren James and Chloe Kelly were also stepping in and sort of, being more direct with her. So what were your thoughts? Beth England, do you reckon? Starting over Russo?
It could be an interesting tactic, because I think Beth England is probably the closest to an Ellen White as we've maybe had, right? She's dogged. She doesn't stop running. She harasses defenders. She is a poacher. If the ball bobbles out to her, she has such good instincts in the box. And that could be an interesting approach to a game, to put her out there, wear down the defenders, maybe get a goal, great. But if she doesn't, she almost does that Ellen White role, which I feel like sometimes people didn't fully get during the Euros. And I think the first game against Haiti showed the importance of Ellen White in terms of what she did for 60 plus minutes. And then you bring on your Alessia Russo, and it's the impact that she can have in that short time when defenders have been pulled here, there, and everywhere. And I feel like Beth England could probably do a job like that. And maybe Alessia can have that impact off the bench. But at the moment, I don't see Serena doing that.
No, I think, well, she's back to Alessia Russo twice now. So I feel like that is the kind of consistency that she's going to show throughout the entire tournament. But also, I mean, Russo was so good as a super sub coming on. So maybe that is something that's in the arsenal, at least for the China game, where that result is, well, it doesn't really, they're already kind of through. So it might not be as significant, maybe. We've got another tasty question from Adam. He said, if they shifted even half of the overplaying from the final third to the middle, it would be 6-0 and you'd not be getting frantic heart rate messages when the woodwork got rattled towards the end. So the allegation there put to the Lionesses is that you overplay in the final third. And to be honest, Adam, I've got to bloody agree. I mean, when you look at what Lauren James did, she doesn't piss about. She's not passing. She's quite selfish, but selfish in a good way, because the chance that she had came from her own just giving it an absolute punt. But I think we do have a tendency to kind of get into good areas, but sort of almost kind of play back a little bit. I mean, what are your thoughts there? Do we overplay, do you think?
I think it's probably an element of decision making and having quite young players leading the line. And I think sometimes that's what's lacking, is the right decision at the right time. And that comes, I guess, with experience. And look, I know a lot of these players have played at the Euros, but they've not started at the Euros. And there could be an element of that, maybe. I do think, yeah, we overplay a little bit. We overthink it a little bit. It could be the fact that we hadn't scored an open play for so long. But part of me thinks maybe it's the decision making. Or, you know, when you haven't scored in so long, are you going to trust that the person you pass it to is going to score? You know, am I going to trust a punt because I might not score and then it's just another miss? You know, so there's probably a lot of factors going on in that. But I also think it's a case of backing a couple of goals and just shaking that off. Do you know what I mean? And I think if they do that against China, it might waken them up a bit. I don't know. What do you think?
I've got to agree. I think, I mean, like I said, I think Lauren James is kind of like one of the examples of what happens when you just back yourself and you just take a hit, like, because you don't know what's going to happen. We've seen so many goalkeeper fluffs, we've seen deflections taking place, we've seen loads of things like that happen. So like, I think, and the more you kind of do things like that, the more you're applying pressure, and I think that sort of gets into teams' head that they're coming after barrage of attack. But if you're going up front, you're getting into good areas and then you're coming back again. I just feel it looks a bit impotent to me. And I think, you know, we didn't there's a reason that we're scraping by these games 1-0, because we're not converting chances. Like, by the law of averages, the more chances that you take, the more you're going to eventually find the back of the net. So Adam, got to agree with you there. And then to finish on another positive bit of bread, we can now say that we've completely destroyed our 336 minutes of like not scoring a goal in a tournament. So the drought is over. The drought's over, guys.
I was wondering what the second positive layer was going to be, and I'm glad you found something. Well done.
And also Beth England getting onto the pitch. Woo! And Laura Coombs getting onto the pitch. Both very well deserved, both filled in very well. So yeah, positives there, positives.